we formed this planet. I'm the only one left, by the way, but we do have a planet full of other me's, but I am the only one left. And what we do is we have this program where if you subscribe to us, we take your whole planet, your whole population, we put them on our planet. And we give you all the technology that you're ever going to need. We advance your entire understanding of literally anything. And so that you can go out and destroy these guys, these queens that come out and destroy planets. Oh, and so, but we can't do that because you blew me up. We have this whole planet, though. It would have been great. We had jacuzzis and stuff, and we have like happy hours. So that is kind of off limits, though.
We've got space defense.
Yeah. And so, but then he said, we give you everything you're going to need to go out and kill a queen. There's a queen on the way. No one's ever killed a queen. So the logic, no purpose.
I can't help thinking, somewhere in the universe, there has to be something better than man. Has to be. Ascension to 10.
Let's go.
All right. Let's go.
Let's go.
Here we are. Oh, man, there's a threesome here again.
Boys at Ascension to 10.
Boys.
What's up?
.com. Let's go.
Celebrating our Independence Day.
Yeah.
It's the boys.
Yeah, it's the boys.
Yeah.
Y'all already know who
What's up,
it is.
boys?
Yeah.
What's up, fellas?
Just celebrating, you know.
Another day to get it in.
Another day to get it in.
That's
right.
Like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Limoncello LaCroix, for all they do.
Well,
not sponsored.
Well, yeah, and I'm drinking a cup out of Mean Mule American Agave Spirits here in KC So
hey,
shout out to them too.
Yeah, rep that H2O, that Nashville H2O, baby. That's probably what gave me diarrhea.
Oh, it was pure filtered water. I appreciate you not tainting it with a one molecule of it that you always bring here.
Hey.
Crystal Light bullshit or whatever you bring.
I will not receive this razzing right now. It's so good. Speaking of it's raspberry.
Several years ago, though, Bryan would come into Nashville and he'd do some dumb music bullshit. He wouldn't hang out with us at all, and he'd crash our place, and then just wouldn't even see him. But the one thing that he would leave behind with him was always he'd bring in some dumbass little Crystal Light little dropper thing, and somehow it would contaminate my Brita filter and pitcher, and it would just taste like a molecule.
Yeah,
of Crystal Light.
That's the thing. Your taste and perception of these things is totally biased because you work on a molecular level for a living. Of course you could taste the one drop, and I have apologized for it endlessly, and it'll never.
You've never have. The apology though did come in the form of you were here a couple weeks ago, and you managed to leave without contaminating my water source. So thank you.
Guess what I had? Hey, guess what I had in my backpack?
Crystal Light?
Crystal Light. Yeah, I had Crystal Light in there, and I didn't.
Thank you for keeping that in the backpack.
Yeah.
I'll say the only person I know that drinks Crystal Light besides you, Bryan, is my dad, and I think he drinks Crystal Light almost every day.
Okay. And let's just take a second to acknowledge
Crystal Light every night.
Yeah, let's acknowledge the fact that he's a urologist, one of the best, and he doesn't have any issues. Right? So
yeah, sure.
Come at me, Dad. Are you kidding me?
God. I've never made a comment about your choices.
Where's my gavel?
My comment was you coming into my house and contaminating my Brita pilcher, which I like to keep
decided.
Crystal Light free. Thank you very much.
You lose.
How would you even do that? How did you do that?
I don't know,
Other
man.
than taking
Did he-
out the,
did he-
the
did he pour
filter
it-
part and just
He poured it
dropping
in the
in.
top of the Brita.
How could you possibly contaminate a Brita filter on several occasions? That's gonna make
man,
any
He probably
sense.
he
Listen.
probably took the filter out, cut
Hey.
the top off, poured the Crystal Light in there, and then screwed it back on.
Hey, man.
Every time you poured it in, you had pink water.
The thing is, every single opportunity, every time I would see him, he'd be douching in some Crystal Light juice into his water source.
Hey, man. All I
Like, you
all
gotta
I can
cut
say
that.
all I can say is God works in
Nothing.
mysterious
That's what you
ways.
can say.
I can say, you know, it was divine intervention. You needed to
Sure.
taste it. Yeah, that's it.
I'm waiting on a resolution for that, or some kind of revelation, rather.
You got your
Man,
resolution. And-
that's really stuck in your craw.
yeah, you got your resolution, and your revelation will come when you taste and see the
Right.
good news that is Crystal Light. Approved by the greatest urologist in the United States, quite possibly the world. Jack,
Well,
He's gonna
Jack,
love hearing that.
Jack listens to the show.
Jack
right? Maybe
listens.
he could,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
he
He
could write
does,
in.
yeah, for sure.
Actually,
Jack-
that's a segue, maybe, to
Yeah.
an actual write-in that we did have.
Okay, yeah, let's
recently,
Yeah, this
too.
is-
These are top of the show
this is-
moments.
we top of the show. We need to acknowledge the fact that we've already gone on a big tangent, and we've got a list. Like Spenny made a list, and we're gonna
This is
try
the
and
first
probably
time
There's
never
so
stick
much
to
to
it.
talk
podcast
about.
history that we are ever going to go through
Yeah,
show
this is the
notes.
first time we've ever had
Yeah.
a show rundown.
We'll see how it goes.
Let's see
how it
how
goes.
we stick
And
to
it's
it.
a two-parter, so we got to move. You know, quickly.
Yeah.
We're gonna be talking about
snap.
Independence Day, Resurgence, and
Top
Top Gun Maverick.
Maverick.
So I think that
Yeah.
should be stated
Oh, boy.
first and foremost. I'm really excited about it.
This
We're
is
talking
also
about-
to
we're talking
celebrate
about polar
America
opposites.
because this is
Yeah.
this 4th
Hell
of July
yeah.
episode coming out on
That's
June
right.
29th.
What do you think I'm wearing my USA shirt today?
Nice.
The only one that apparently appreciates America. but
That's right.
that's
Well,
fine.
that's.
I mean,
I'm. But
I'm not going to get too political, but not super enthused about a lot of
Well, okay.
a lot of
Yeah, that's
anything.
fair.
I just would like to go without stating I will be celebrating the 4th of July festivities because I love explosions and I'm going to be at the beach.
let's
That's it.
go.
Well, good for you.
That's all I'm going to say. And I stand with women. That's it. Okay, done. Go ahead.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I will be in the Black Hills, the home of Mount Rushmore, on 4th of July, and I will be wearing an astronaut shirt.
And
So,
you will see an eagle.
Gibbs
There's no way that you won't.
Eagle.
That's
You know the
Marihute.
screech
You
that is always accompanied in media for bald eagles, the kind of thing, right?
it's not it
Yeah.
isn't. It isn't.
That's
Yeah.
not what eagles sound like. Eagles sound like dumb pieces of shit, and because birds suck. Fucking hate birds because of all the bird shit that I've had to deal with.
Yep.
But that's usually just some hawk or something.
What's
But
a bald eagle sound like then?
it sounds like they don't make a
Nice.
screech at all like that. So
Okay.
anyways,
Fair enough.
Agenda
Well,
item.
So
Let's hit that
agenda item number 1, we need to talk about some fans correcting us on our latest
this is
episode of Analytics.
it's bullet point 2 actually. We're already off.
All right, let's freestyle.
Number one on the
We
list.
just we
was
just
usual opening
talked about
banter.
fucking Crystal Light for like 45
Well,
minutes.
yeah, that
so
is
let's just
as per your list, usual opening banter. Period. Number 1. I feel like that qualifies as number 1. Number 2. Next.
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 We need to adjust fan corrections. Number 1, we need to talk about the fact that Brandon, South Dakota has had 2 bowling alleys. There was one earlier. Was it Family Florin something? Furniture?
Sure.
That was originally a bowling alley. We were corrected on.
Yep.
But
Shout
that
out
was,
to
I
Meeland.
think before we were
Shout out
Alex
to
Meeland,
our
thank you
very
for helping us.
first YouTube comment on our YouTube channel.
Very
it
true.
was Alex Meeland, one of our classmates, writing in. Thank you, Alex.
And we appreciate it.
Thank you, Alex, for not only leaving a comment, A+, but also correcting this egregious error on my part when we talked about the bowling story. Coincidentally, I believe in that story, we talked about how, yes, we were the champions, but there was this other team that was clearly better than us. And the only reason we won is because they didn't show up enough. Well, that was Alex Millen's team.
Yeah.
And so it just coincidental that he would leave a comment about the state of the bowling alley history.
That is much better than us.
He was clearly way better than us at bowling. So shout out, Alex. Thanks for leaving the comment.
Alex.
Thank you for correcting us.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2, what's our other?
Second one is, I feel like, is more egregious. Jad, do you want to talk about the fact that what little detail you may have forgotten on your story?
So last week we also talked about car shenanigans in high school. We started off by Spenny crashing his Beamer into the ditch when he said, "Don't worry, guys, I know how to handle my car." Immediately crashed us into the ditch. And then I shared a story about how I crashed my parents' pickup truck by just fucking flooring it around a turn from a dead stop and taking out a street light. Well, what I left out, and I also forgot, was the fact that our insurance company ditched us. My parents had to find a new insurance company.
Because of that, the whole family got dropped.
So,
holy shit. The best part about our friendship is I continuously learn these things. Like, it's either happening in real time, these typical days, or retroactively something crops up like that.
It would only happen to Jad. I ran into a goddamn building and I didn't lose my insurance, and Jad takes out a fucking light bulb.
Yeah, the building probably commemorates you as a part owner, and Jad's over here just getting his insurance, just ditching him.
The whole family is gone.
Okay.
So,
that's good.
yes,
I'm glad that you corrected that.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you for the email.
You can thank Mark for that.
Oh yes,
Correcting.
thank you for writing at boys@ascension-to-10.com. Which, if any of the other listeners have anything to say, any corrections, or want to reach out, please email us at boys@ascension.com. So thank you for 2 write-ins there on the same episode, actually. So here we were thinking that last episode was complete dog shit and wouldn't have anything to talk about or think about, and yet
we're getting called out twice.
Here we are.
2 listeners writing in. This is not on the list. Am I okay to deviate from this list?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
It has to deal with listeners and interaction. I want to say that I had the first real life meeting with a listener that I had never met before. So I guess in real time, it would have been a couple weeks ago. I was at a wedding for our listener, Samantha and Jared. And I met a listener, Aaron, in person, who listens to the show. So it was nice to meet you. Thank you for listening.
Hey,
assuming you're listening to this. But so anyways,
nice.
Kind of one of those random things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's a win.
Yeah, well,
that's a win.
Did you represent us well, or did you make an ass of yourself?
I don't know. Maybe she'll have to write in.
Man.
I know.
Don't know. I hope I represented us well.
Me too.
Good.
Me too.
Yeah, don't embarrass us.
All right.
This is a class act
What's
show.
next on the list, Spenny?
Yep.
Yeah, well, you've been teasing about this typical day for like 4 months.
Okay.
And you're waiting for Bryan to be here.
Well, I really hope that I didn't oversell this typical day. It is one of my favorites, but for the listeners that have been at the edge of their seats waiting for this thing, here it goes. In 2009, summer of 2009, I lived in Boston for the summer doing research. And I lived with a couple other people, and it was a great time. research was great. Living in Boston was fantastic. There was one day that it was a weekend and we had some time to kill. And in Boston or off the coast, you can do some whale watching for humpback whales.
Right.
So the day was centered around going to watching whales. So we had to get to the aquarium, which was on the coast somewhere in Boston. And that's where you bought tickets for the whale watching tour. Okay. We arrive at the aquarium.
I've been on this tour.
We arrive at the aquarium. Now, there is a dedicated little hut for whale watching tickets. And there is the main admissions for the aquarium that also sold whale watching tickets. Okay. This is a weekend. Very busy day. Lots of people coming in, lots of people coming out, lots of people doing aquarium stuff, whale watching stuff. Okay. The dedicated ticket booth for whale watching was closed. No one there, no one in line, no one manning it. Not an option.
Dang.
What are we going to do? Well, there's a second option. As I said, you stand in line at the main admissions counter for the aquarium to get your tickets there. Okay. So I'm with 4 people. I'm third in line, okay, of our group, all getting whale watching tickets. We stand in line for about an hour because there's a lot of people there, right? People in front of me. 2 whale watching tickets, please. Oh, sure. There you go. And they gave them the tickets. Okay. I step up. Same ticket operator, same ticket window. 1 whale watching ticket, please. Sure, you're gonna have to go to the dedicated hut over there for whale watching tickets. I said, "Oh, well, that was closed. Actually, it's still closed. So I thought I could buy tickets here. You did just sell them tickets. I didn't say that, but I said, "Oh, that was
Of course not.
that was closed. Actually, there's no one there. Sir, I don't know what to tell you. I can't sell you a ticket." And so he said, "You're going to have to get in a different line." And so I waited in line for an hour. 2 people in front of me just bought whale watching tickets. The 4th person in our group behind me steps up. 1 whale watching ticket, please. Oh, that'll be, whatever. And then get on the boat. So I just get in a different line. I had to wait in line for another hour for these fucking whale watching tickets that they just sold before and after I did.
Oh my god.
Penny's all mad about it too.
Yeah, I can tell.
She's so fucking fired up.
That's the guy outside my house right now. And it's working.
She's like, that fucking ticket receptionist. Ticket taker.
Thank you, Penny.
Oh man,
good job.
Best guard dog.
Good job. Yeah.
This is like someone doing the dishes in the background in the last episode.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, that was part 1.
Oh wow.
Part 2, same day. I eventually did get a ticket, and I barely, right? Oh, hang on a second.
Hopefully you made it onto the same boat at least.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yes, there's other people on there.
Oh.
Jad is currently trying to holster his dog Penny. She can't handle it right now.
No,
Must have
she
had
can't.
a delivery man show up.
Delivery man.
So
I thought he said a coyote was in the backyard. But I could have heard wrong. I don't know.
Maybe it was a coyote.
It's
Coyote
tough to
or
say.
Delivery man.
Well, it's either that or Penny could sense the story and knew that,
Well, that's what I thought.
Well, now someone's gonna come paint the
her
back
timing.
door, like right.
Oh, yep.
This is right where we do this thing.
It's not
okay,
a person, it's a coyote. Or it's not a coyote, it's a person. Yeah. Anyways. All right. And
Brian thought you said coyote, and I thought you
coyote.
said person. So
All right, let me try and
coyote
let me try
person.
and squeeze this in then before they come back
Yeah.
and paint this door.
Yep.
Okay, so this is later that day. I barely get on this boat because I had to stand in line for another hour, right? So we do the whale thing, and then it's late in the day, right? And so we are pretty
Sure.
far away from where the apartment that we lived in. So we had to do a couple, like a bus stop, another railway, and then another underground or a subway thing, right? And so
Yeah.
we get to the first subway station, and I was trying to think ahead because I knew there were many stops. I don't think I have enough money on my card for all of this. And at one point I have to take a bus and they're not going to have a thing. Right. So I quickly run out of where the train platform was, go to a kiosk, add some money to my card. And while I'm doing that, I hear the train coming. And so I think, oh, I got to hurry up. This is, this is right. And so
This is the train. This is it.
I hear the brakes. Right. And then, so I finish my putting money on the card, sprint through the gates and to the thing. And it's just kind of a classic movie scene where I'm running up, the train goers go, and I see the people I was with were sitting right inside that door. And and so not only did I get charged to go into the gate the first time, right? I came out, got charged again because I missed the train. But then there was another train coming, so I had to wait, right? But I knew that there was a bus. The next stop was a bus ride,
Right.
and that was going to be the last bus ride for the night. And so, wait for the train, get on the train, get up. I didn't know where this particular bus was going to be, so I run up above ground. I'm looking around, and I see the bus. I start sprinting because at this point, I still see it there. So I didn't miss it, right? But I don't want them to wait up for me because maybe the people I was with told them, hey, can you wait, an extra minute or something? So out of courtesy to everyone involved, I start sprinting towards this bus. Okay. I am maybe 20 or 30 yards away from the bus driver for the bus, and the bus driver sees me. I lock eyes with the bus driver.
Oh my God.
I pull out my card, my transit card, and I'm waving it to him saying, hey, wait, I'm here. The three other people I was with, the only people on the bus. I'm not kidding. They were it. So
God.
the bus had been waiting around with just them for me for, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. The bus driver sees me, sees my card, sees that I'm running towards him, looks at his watch, closes the bus door. So for the second time that night, I saw the group that I was with go, we lock eyes. They're like, phew. And for no fucking reason, that bus driver closed the door in my face and drove away past me. That was the last bus. So this is before smartphone, right? And I'm in Boston. I don't live there. And so I go back down to the subway, pay again to get back in and figure out a way to get kind of close, and had to take a $30 cab back to the apartment.
My God.
Well, we.
So yeah, that's the typical day I've been sitting on.
That is
Wow. Yeah, that's
a double header.
Incredible.
Double
That's a
header
doubleheader.
typical day.
Yep.
Wow.
So I don't know if that was worth
That's
the wait
really
or not,
good, Jed.
I was definitely
No,
worth the
it's
wait.
totally worth it. Yeah, that was funny.
Hearing
for sharing
about
that.
you getting double fucked in one day is just,
Yeah, that's just the best.
I mean,
Especially in a place you don't know.
Yeah.
That one sits up there with the China story for sure.
Man,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's pretty close. I'm very much always looking forward to the next typical day from you. So I'm sure we're about due for another one.
Yeah, that's right.
It'll come. Just be prepared
But
for
until
it.
then.
Till then.
All right, so
Okay.
that was ticket item number 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Should we start?
Now
Where are we at?
One of the main events?
Yeah,
This
we're
is
supposed-
94.2.
Yeah, we're supposed to talk about Independence Day Resurgence, aka ID 4-2. .2.
You put .2.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Why
2.
4.2?
I don't know.
Don't know.
Jad called it that one time. So
Oh yeah.
it's Independence
the dash
Day
in.
2.
Nice.
I would just like to let you guys know that this film was actually supposed to be a 2-part film. They actually started in 2010,
Wow.
And starting in 2013, they started to write it. So basically, 10 years after the original successful Independence Day.
Right.
Actually, 15 years after the Independence Day, because it came out in 96.
Wow. I didn't know
They
that.
decided to started writing it. They got the green light from Fox in 2014. 2015, they're like, you know what? This doesn't need to be 2 parts. Let's just make it 1 film. Will Smith decided, I don't want to do this. I'm going to do Suicide Squad instead. And they're like, well, shit. So let's get this cheap guy that's Will Smith's son to do this film. 2015 to 2016, they film it. And then in July 4th, 2016, they released it. The budget on this was $165 million. It only made $390 million worldwide.
That's too much.
How does that money wise comparatively line up with the original one? What was the? Do you remember?
$75 million budget for ID4, and it made $817 million in 1996.
Yeah.
So it probably made about $1.3 million in today's dollars.
Dang.
Billion?
So yes,
Billion.
much more successful.
Yeah.
Billion.
Yeah.
1.3 billion.
Dang. Okay.
Damn.
Yeah.
Brian, did you get the chance
yeah.
to watch this?
No.
Glad.
I told you I was watching
gave-
Peaky
I
Blinders till midnight, and then I had a glass of rum in the bathtub because they made me want rum so bad at midnight.
So this is one thing I wanted to highlight. So we've been doing cast and crew the last few episodes. So there was 160 cast in this film, or excuse me, there was 160 cast in ID4 and 884 crew in ID4, the original 1996. For this film, it was 180 cast and 2,456 crew.
What?
So they tripled the crew for this film, and they nearly doubled the budget. It's 165 million for this one.
Jeez.
Where did that money go?
And what did you get
Where
out
did
of it?
that money
let
go
me-
towards?
I will say just I have
Did you
nothing
watch
to say.
the video I sent you?
No, I didn't even watch the videos.
Oh, shoot.
I wanted to come into this one. I didn't want to have any opinion on this. I wanted to receive what you guys had to say about it and then just agree with you because, I mean, it didn't even. It was never even a blip. I didn't even know they made a sequel to this. That's how irrelevant it was in like my sphere of living. And like that movie was iconic when we were like it was. I think it was posed like I actually don't even know if I was allowed to watch it right away because it was like alien invasion. That my parents thought that I'd get scared. So like it was off limits, but it was like one of those ones where I heard all of the critical acclaim and was like, wow, this has to be incredible. And it was really great. The first one was awesome. But the fact that I heard nothing about this made it sit next to the bottom of the list of things I wanted to do with my free time on my first free Friday night in a while. Like, literally. Yeah.
Well, I think this is perfect. Let me just start with the synopsis.
Yeah.
And then we'll just talk about the movie, Jad and Brian, and then you guys can go from there. Okay.
Sounds good.
It's been 20 years since the year defended itself against an alien invasion. Since then, the human race has re-engineered alien technology and built space bases on the moon and Mars. On the exact 20th anniversary of their independence from the aliens return with the biggest fucking ship imaginable, and it has its own gravitational pull. Humans must once again defend itself against a much bigger ship and the most advanced in alien technology to save the world.
That was good. That little F-bomb really drove it home.
That was a good one.
Holy shit.
So literally, the aliens, when the ship goes down at the end of ID4, so the original, apparently they sent a distress signal. It took 20 years for the aliens to apparently answer the distress call, and they show up with a alien ship that is 3,000 miles wide, and it fucking lands on Earth, and it has its own gravitational pull. Like, it starts pulling up fucking buildings and
Yeah.
bridges and everything up.
You know why that doesn't make sense, guys? Is there?
Please.
Can you guys think of a practical reason why that wouldn't make sense?
I want to hear your reason before I have to think about it at all.
Well, okay, so we are all held to Earth by Earth's gravity, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So the mass of the Earth dictates the gravitational pull, right?
Yeah.
And so it's to make it float it would require then a mass greater than the Earth's to result in a gravitational field that would be in excess of the Earth's. So I don't know what that would have to be, how big that would have to be, but bigger than the fucking planet, I think, is a bare minimum. I mean, then this
what if their ship
Earth,
was just made out of something that was heavier,
denser than the Earth?
More dense.
Yeah.
Sure. Find an
Hey,
element
man.
that's you have enough elements.
I mean, well, the molten core is just made out of air, right? So
oh, that's right. Yeah.
easy to
Guys, listen. All right, I need to know more. So this ship lands.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
so if it and then also a very simple calculation would be if it took a signal 20 years to reach the mothership or whatever, then it's 20 light years away, right? That's how that works. And so
Who takes
then-
20 like
Well, that was
so then
that
they
was
just
that was
arrive
one of
the
my
next
questions.
day.
That was my next question. Is it's 117 trillion miles away if they traveled at the speed of light.
But if they traveled at the
So-
speed of light, it would take them 20 years. So that would be
Right.
the 40th anniversary, right? So clearly they have faster than light stuff. The little turd ball that comes out of interdimensional space through the portal that has nothing to do with them shows up, but there's no evidence that
we
they
should-
have a little
I mean, we
portal
should-
gun
we should-
that they can shoot.
I know
through.
we should talk about that real quick. So, the
God.
same day, this fucking giant ship shows up. Another ship shows up right before it, and it's just a fucking orb.
It's
Looks
just
like
an
a
orb.
small moon, and
Yep.
they're like, you know what,
Oh.
motherfucker, we're gonna blow this shit up. We don't even know what it is, and they blow it up, and it crashes into the moon, and then like 20 seconds later, this giant 3,000 foot ship shows up, and it just
3,000 mile
annihilates
wide
everything. 1,000 mile,
3,000 mile wide.
what an eventful day.
Okay. We should have painted a picture before this. So the Earth has adapted the remnants of alien technology over the last 20 years to, like you said in the synopsis, have this moon base and some moon pods and whatever. And then I guess they have a Jupiter outpost or something that's never shown, only mentioned. Saturn.
Yeah, they talked about
outpost.
Saturn, but they never showed it. So apparently Saturn got destroyed on the way. So.
And then they have, I guess, their own means of cold fusion, propulsion, and weapons and stuff. And they are operating from the moon and I guess Saturn too, and have all this advanced alien shit. It's the same technology that the aliens have, right? Because they just ripped it off. And so,
Right.
but they couldn't detect the aliens with their own shit when they came in. It's just surprise. Gigantic,
No way, man.
3,000 mile wide thing coming, and it's
They have
what are we gonna do?
have interstellar. They have interstellar capabilities, but they didn't realize they needed interstellar radar. So
Yep.
Wow.
And
kind of gets you, bites you in the ass.
so yeah, basically the first little while is just some Dawson's Creek bullshit, and then with a couple of the characters, and then it's this thing shows up and rips half the moon apart, and then the other thing comes and then destroys the moon altogether, and then. One of the funny things is they have, Brian, do you remember the big city gun that the ships had in the first movie where it's
Yeah.
that green orb and they just, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the humans made their own version of that and they put one on the moon, right? One. And
Yeah.
the whole purpose is to preemptively, like they did with that little space orb, to just shoot it out of the sky.
Yeah.
Right.
Get it, strike it right away. Yeah.
The purpose is to be ready at all times. And so they get surprised by this alien ship that arrives. And
That's
they're
3,000
kinda sitting
miles long.
Yeah, they're kind of sitting around thinking, well, what are we going to do about that?
Yeah.
Shoot it or something. I don't know. And so they say, activate the main event gun, and it's I'm not kidding. It's
Perfect.
It's scanning, moving, and then it's at this 20-second, like 20, 19, 18, so, and then it gets blown up. It takes too long to arm it, so they just blow it up.
It takes too long to beat up.
And then they say, activate the space force shield on the Earth. And then it's 30,000 of these guns. So they put one on the moon as an advanced deterrent defense thing. And then they have 30 million other things around the Earth as satellites. And then it's again, they just saw the moon get destroyed. Activate the main defense gun portal things. And then it's 19, 18, 17. And then they all get blown up.
They have to charge up, man. They're on solar power.
And so then the thing crash lands and there's no gravity or something until they turn it off. And then it's...
The thing that I don't understand is like literally the moon gets attacked. So the moon's 223,000 miles from Earth.
It's a long ways. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long ways. So this shit must have been fucking flying because like they literally do it right after. And they set the chargers to like they all are supposed to like connect together, and then they fire at once. And the ship shows up and just knocks them all out. And then it just immediately lands on, and that's when all of a sudden like they're like activate gravity, just pulling shit up the earth.
Wow.
So yeah, is there any? I mean, so the whole purpose of them. So they get this distress call. And the aliens show back up to harvest. So the first aliens show up to destroy the population and then harvest the Earth for its shit, right?
For its core, molten core.
Well, that was in the first movie. All these fleets of things show up to basically, I don't know, take the goods,
eradicate
and take the goods, and then that doesn't work, obviously. And so the other ship, the bigger ship, shows up to do the same thing. And then it's basically to take the core.
Yeah.
Why not do that the first time? I don't know.
Honestly, what doesn't make sense is obviously it's an advanced technology and they have a lot of advanced knowledge. What's the point of going against a hostile planet that it's going to fight you when you can go to any other planet and just fucking suck out the fucking core? Molten core.
So, yeah. The whole, part of the
a lot of stars out there.
There's this gigantic alien queen, and it's 3 stories tall. It's enormous. It's absurdly large, right?
Yeah. It's like wild. It's like a Wild West spider, but it's an alien form.
Yeah, but it's an alien thing.
Wow. Okay.
And it has its. But one of the things I thought was funny is you see it a few times in the kind of the beginning part of the movie, and it sees this distress beacon bleep thing on its computer screen, and you see it bend down. The screen is like that big.
It's like this big, and
it's this gigantic building-sized alien that has to squint at this tiny little screen, tiny little flashing light.
It's like,
so whatever. They land, and then it's just every third line by every actor is because they're flying little turbo jets or whatever, or escaping stuff, and I don't know.
Well, the thing that's interesting is the U.S. or like Earth has re-engineered all this space, all the science. So they have like all these fighters and stuff that's based on the original, Independence Day.
Yeah. But
then like this second swarm comes, which, I mean, honestly, they got the distress signal, and I assume they just started fucking flying. But apparently they had like next gen fighters, and all of them just knocked the crap out of all the ones.
Just obliterate.
Just the Earth had developed.
Yeah,
and then it goes to like somehow it turned into this hive. So like all the fighters and stuff are part of this hive, and it's the queen. But in the original one, it was all these just individual ships, just kind of blowing stuff up, trying to figure it out. And it's like this queen was like, you know what, screw these guys. I'm so mad. Like, I'm going to fly here and I'm going to destroy them.
Yeah.
It sounds so dumb.
It's really
I know
dumb.
that I will say, like, if we're gonna, we're eventually gonna move into talking about Top Gun, which I actually did choose to see because I heard it was good. I heard good things about it. I never heard about this movie. I am really appreciating that we're setting that up by first dunking on this one. And I think we should spend a little time going through the most dunkable highlights so that I can get a good laugh out of it. And you guys are painting me a better picture than the movie probably painted itself.
So, okay.
Because I'm enjoying this. This is like adult story time for me. Yeah. Which is why I kind of was happy about jumping into this. So I need some of the highlights. Let's get I know that the final scene, I'm sure that the final scene was so anticlimactic or ridiculous that you guys will definitely have a dunk on that. So just give me the quick run through of the best.
Can we talk about the two scientists, Jad? So
Brent Spiner,
Jeff Gold, Brent Spiner. But first, Jeff Goldblum. So Jeff Goldblum from the original one was like the lead scientist, like figured out like
the virus,
the problem, the virus, all this other stuff. So he comes back and it's been 20 fucking years since the first invasion. Turns out that there's one ship in Africa that landed and started digging towards the core of the earth. And he has never visited it in 20 years. So he's had 20 years to find out what the hell they were doing. Like, they saw a ship actually land in Earth, and they're like, oh, he finally shows up. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you know what? They're attacking us again. So I got to get out of here.
It was that thing.
And it's like,
I love Jeff Goldblum. What was he doing in that role?
It's 20 years. And he's just like, oh man, I've never made it to Africa to see a ship that's actually landed and it's still like there.
Wow.
It's been like digging towards our core. And then the other one, as you mentioned, is Brent Spiner, which I honestly did not know that was Brent Spiner in the first movie. It was not till I saw the second one and then I looked at the cast list and I was like, so we have Data is from Star Trek The Next Generation, is the like lead scientist who gets strangled and killed in the first one, or at least they make you think. But apparently he's just been in a 20-year coma and wakes up, has no muscular atrophy at all, just springs out of bed, starts writing formula
equations
on the wall.
Oh man.
And then he's just like, I've been asleep for 20 years. This is so funny.
Then there was that nurse or something that nurse that was with him that kept tagging along for no reason, right? And then the other useless character was so when you mentioned Jeff Goldblum was going to Africa, he had some kind of Washington page with him in the back seat. Yeah. So they're in the middle of the desert, right? They'd probably been driving for hours. And then the scene opens up with you see Jeff Goldblum, and then some idiot in the back seat says, "Yo, we gotta talk about your itinerary or something." And he says, "How long have you been back there?" Like, they've been driving for hours, right? And then, but this stupid like fucking UN truck kept just being in the background and saying the dumbest shit the whole time.
Oh my
god! God, I don't know how to describe these visuals to you, Brian. This was, what'd you say, Spenny? 2016. This came out.
Yeah, 2016.
The most egregious CGI bullshit you've ever fucking seen. I think the people that make shit on TBS...
You think Star Wars Episode 1 is better CGI work than this?
You have no idea. You have no idea what I'm talking about.
Got it.
My argument is that Fifth Element has better visuals than this movie, and it came out 20 years later.
Everything we've talked about on this podcast has better visuals than this 2016 AAA high budget piece of fuck. There's a scene where one of the guys causes some training accident or whatever, and he's watching on this little data pad a playback of him in a jet and then his best friend in a jet, and they're doing some dumb thing, and they're in a canyon, and at one point he has to eject, and the they rendered it on a, I don't know, a toothbrush or something. An electric toothbrush was used to compute the graphics for this little scene. It was it looked like Tron almost, because you could see the vector lines for all the characters. It was,
my
they looked like
gosh.
polygons.
Wow.
So whatever, the whole movie was like that basically, though. For what $160 million budget got you that. And then every single scene was them in a warehouse with the worst green screen you've ever seen. At one point they have to go to the Washington Monument or something, or the I don't know, the Capitol Mall or something, and they couldn't just go and film there for a millisecond.
Yeah.
They couldn't even go to a desert and film in a desert. Right? If they're in Hollywood, there's kind of a desert pretty close to them, isn't there?
Yeah, for sure.
They couldn't go to a desert to film one scene.
Wow.
And so anyways, at some point they think, they identify that there's a queen. They're like, let's go bomb her or something. And so they hatch this elite strike task force, and they get obliterated, and a couple of them make it in, they blow it up, but then she doesn't get blown up. And then they reveal that because she has her own shield or some dumb thing like that. And the whole thing was, the queen baited us. And
that's right.
To what end? She just landed anyways, right? There was no need for her to bait anything. And so then that orb thing.
This whole thing, the orb thing. So this whole thing is based around a giant white testicle that you can put your hand. It literally, you put your hands on it, and then all of a sudden, like, the weird scientist puts his hands in it and like soaks his hands in.
No, it was that page. There was the annoying Washington guy first, right?
Yeah,
he's just in the background touching it. He's like, oh, my arm's going in, that's sucking me in.
But all of a sudden it's like, oh, I can read your language.
Yeah.
And I just want to let you know that we are the only survivors from the alien attacks, and we are AI, and we have this survivor planet where we have developed weapons that are trying to destroy these aliens.
Okay, go ahead. But this is the sequence, though. This is the back and forth logic that Spenny's describing. The orb wakes up. Okay, it traveled across the universe to arrive at Earth to say, "Yo, homies, you got to go because they're coming, and I can't help you. Let's go."
Yeah.
Like to all of Earth, right? The whole population.
Right.
Yo, we got to go because they're coming and we got to go. But you blew me up, so I can't do that anymore.
I was going to say,
And then, so they say, okay, so what are you then? And he says, I'm my species transcended to virtual reality. And because the other the aliens wiped us out. We are the only thing that species feared because we were the only thing that could beat them.
I'm an AI
but they wiped us out. Okay, he says that we were the only thing that could beat them, but then they wiped us out. And we formed this planet. I'm the only one left, by the way, but we do have a planet full of other me's, but I am the only one left. And what we do is we have this program where if you subscribe to us, we take your whole planet, your whole population, we put them on our planet. And we give you all the technology that you're ever going to need. We advance your entire understanding of literally anything. And so that you can go out and destroy these guys, these queens that come out and destroy planets.
Oh,
and so, but we can't do that because you blew me up. We have this whole planet, though. It would have been great. We had jacuzzis and stuff, and we have like happy hours. So that is kind of off limits, though.
We've got space defense.
Yeah. And so, but then he said, we give you everything you're going to need to go out and kill a queen. There's a queen on the way. No one's ever killed a queen. So the logic, no purpose.
Wow. That is,
anyways, that's basically the movie. They bait. So there was this whole thing was like, the queen could sense the turd, and then so because of some radiation or something, and so then Jeff Goldblum says she baited us, and then he said, we're going to bait her. We're going to put a similar frequency.
Really good. Yeah,
we're going to put a similar frequency out in a pickup truck, and it's going to totally fool her, and we're going to lure her out, and they're going to nuke her.
We got a cell phone with a nuke bomb in it.
Yep.
Let's get her.
and then Bill Pullman, who is the president in the first movie, is in this one, and he's all drugged out because he had aliens in his mind for too long or something. And he says, some of the aliens that they've captured. This is before the Queen gets here. He says, "Yo, I'm going to go in and talk to these aliens because that's the only way we're going to know how to fight them back." And he says, "Don't talk me out of it. I know what I'm in for." And it's this whole dramatic sequence of him basically going to go die because he's going to get in the same room as one of these aliens that's been cooped up for 20 years and is clearly better in every way than a human.
Yeah, for sure.
And so he goes in the room and it's this fog. You can't see him, and he's plastered against the wall. And he says, the last thing he says was, "Get as much information as you can." And the only thing that they learn is that a ship is coming. That's it. They say, "Yo, what are you doing?" Or "What's up?" And he says,
I just realized in this moment that to everything you're saying, I just keep saying, wow. Like I have become aware that my response to all of this is just wow. But I cannot. All of the wows that you as the listeners hear me say repeatedly, there's probably 15 of them in the span of this story alone. I am not impressed. I am so just like, this sounds like the dumbest shit I've ever heard, and I'm so glad. I'm saying wow because I'm like, dumb. Wow, I'm so glad that I didn't watch this and that I never.
Yeah.
Anyways,
well, the whole part is that. So Area 51 has become this like master alien space station where like that's where all the ships
the hub
take
of
off
human technology.
The hub,
right?
Hub of
Classic.
human technology. But they've trapped all these aliens from whenever they did 20 years ago. And they're all just like, I mean, they're all literally just becoming those inflatable things, and they're just like
the wacky tube men. Yeah, that's all they animated. They animated a 2-second loop of them going, and then
wow. Once again, blown away.
Take us home, Spenny. Let's just land this piece of shit.
Yeah. So basically, they have this decoy cell phone that the first president has, and he flies up to blow up the alien mother, which turns out she has her own shield, so she doesn't get blown up. She can survive nuclear bombs. Shoot. And then she just starts gallivanting around the
desert.
Around the desert, and there's a school bus of kids that are driving towards it, and they have to stop. And then she realizes the signal starts going off of this other alien life, the orb. Testicle. Yeah, the white testicle. And she starts blowing up Area 51, and she has the hive. So all these ships are just spinning around.
Yeah.
And finally she almost gets there, but the couple of the ships that were flying in as part of the what's the swarm called? The swarm. They are actually part of the US, so they fly out and they get out and they just start shooting her, and they kill her from behind. She falls over, she explodes. The guts fly over the bus, and the windshield wipers keeps moving.
Nice.
And it ends with the hive just falling apart. The ship just gups and just takes off.
Yeah. So, okay. In the first movie, the whole point was to go up in space, put this little virus in, right? Because they describe them as a hive mind too. They're all controlled by this central mothership.
Yep.
They virus that, nuke it. Everyone else, they blow up spontaneously because the other ship got blown up, except for the one in Africa that didn't blow up for some reason.
It just makes sense.
But then the whole point for this one was, we got to kill the queen. The queen's the ticket. The whole thing. So we don't need to fight this war. We just need to kill the queen. They kill the queen. Not only does the mothership not blow up, it fucking leaves. So someone flew it away. And I think all the swarm goes back to the ship, right? They don't just start falling out of the sky.
Yeah, well, the other thing that we totally missed on this is this whole time where the alien queen was, she had like her own little ship that took off from the big ship, and then she went over to Area 51. But during that, like they started shooting towards the core in like the Atlantic Ocean or something, and there's just like this treasure hunting ship that, you know, they have a sonar.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, just tell the U.S. government we want $100 million and we'll keep track of, you know, what the aliens are doing. Because they're the closest ship to where they're digging to the core through the water.
God.
Like, they have a fucking sonar. It's not like they could see the progress of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Digging to the core.
Yeah, they had a little digital
like,
readout.
We've got
like progress.
Yeah, we've got 1 hour left of till they get to the core and they suck us dry.
I also made a note about that, Spenny, but I erased it because I thought, okay, well, I guess they do kind of have alien technology at this point. I mean, it doesn't make sense that they would have that alien technology, but this busted ass fishing boat that they're trying to find a
that
ship.
They had it on the ship.
Right? Yeah,
that's a good point.
Okay,
Anyways.
whatever. This sucked.
So yeah, what are the respective scores then? What are you guys on the Ascension scale?
Okay,
Because
here's the thing. Brent Spiner, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum,
Stop.
kind of good enough out of 10.
yeah,
Well, yeah, Jeff Goldblum's good. Like, doesn't matter what he's
Brent
in.
Spiner's
He did
good
the
too.
best. No, he was a totally different character in this one.
He was the exact same character as the first one.
He was like over the top crazy in this one. In the first one, at least he was like acting like a scientist. In this one, he was like, I just woke up from my heaven. I just woke up.
Oh man. All right. So
I mean,
I can see that there's going to be an agree to disagree moment here. Is the score?
I don't know if it'll matter much to the score.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I just want to make sure that point is.
Jad, you're saying that.
Go ahead, Jad.
Here's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm saying.
Oh, great.
2 10 out of 10 ascensions don't make a right. This is an easy ascension. This movie fucking sucks. This is an ascension. This is my 5th ascension.
I think for our friend Derek Wooters, we're gonna need to know, is this a hard or a soft ascension?
This is a hard ascension.
Okay.
Yep.
Boom.
Spenny?
Stamped. Spenny, what do you think, bud?
It's gonna chew me out for my rating again. This is a new segment about Spenny just chewing me out for every score I give.
Yeah, it's an ascension.
Nice. Easy.
All right.
Scores the same. I don't even want you to give this thing any fucking credit, okay? Brent Spiner sucked. This whole movie sucked. There's no Will Smith. Move on.
Yep.
Move on. Game
Next.
over. Next. All right, so on to the movie that I did watch.
Oh, quick 4th of July stories if we have any.
Yeah,
I do have one, and it was at Spencer's growing up, and it's very quick. We were lighting off mortars, and we were out in this field, the same field that we were previously talked about, doing donuts in the Beamer and whatnot. And we were kind of on this slope or something. And anyways, we had lit off a few mortars. I think we had 3 or 4 going at the same time. But we had the mortars on just a piece of plywood to keep them somewhat stable. And I remember it was you, myself, and Alan. We were trying to coordinate some stuff, be all cool and put on a show, right? And it was basically 3, 2, 1, but then we kind of staggered the things. And then you had the last one, and you were lighting the last one or something, and you were half on the plywood, half on the ground with your feet, and the plywood was starting to warp. And so you lit yours, and then you quickly sprang up and ran away from the area.
I didn't want to get blown up.
Well, the plywood shifted, and your mortar fell over and pointed directly at where everybody was. So it shot off, obviously, on the ground. And so we had 2 mortars go up, and then Spenny's mortar on the ground directly towards everybody. And started these fires, and we had to put them out. And anyways, that was the first thing I thought of.
That's great. That's a good one.
I don't know why, but like the first thing I think of with 4th of July was one of the big things is like, so we used to always do, it seemed like it somehow got staggered where like we would go to one family's house, like the 3rd and then the 4th and then the 5th. But the one thing I always will never forget is our friend Corey, his dad always made burgers at their house for their 4th of July party. And I just remember how good the burgers were.
Yep.
And then after that, we would go into their kind of driveway and we would shoot off fireworks. And it was always well orchestrated because our friend Corey he was big on that, and it was always just kind of fun to do that. And then Corey would end up being the coordinator at the other, like at our house, at my house, and then other people's houses. He was always the one that coordinated the fireworks, and I always just thought, I don't know, for some reason that's a big memory that I have.
Yeah. I've done a lot of 4th of July's out at Corey's. I can confirm it. I don't have any. The only story I can think about, and it was at Corey's house, is a short one, but it was traumatic. Because it could have been really bad. I was jumping on his trampoline, and I'm not entirely sure. It was either Austin or Corey. Do you guys remember those M80s? I don't think you can get them. Like they used to be like
cherry bombs, right?
Yeah, I mean they were. You can blow shit up with those things.
Yeah.
Especially if you had like multiple. But I was jumping on the trampoline. I think it was Austin Hanton. I'm almost positive. And if he's listening to this, he'd probably be laughing because in hindsight it was funny, but in the moment it wasn't. I was jumping on the trampoline and he lit one of those fuckers and threw it on the trampoline. And I like, I was like jumping up and down, and it did the perfect like goink, and it went up into my shorts in midair, and I felt like the heat from the wick just like on the inside of my leg in my shorts, and I immediately was just like and I don't even know how I got it out of there, but it like shot out and then exploded like on the trampoline right next to where I came down and landed, and then I got off the trampoline. It's terrifying.
So I kind of have a similar story to tell. It was always in the summer, but not around 4th of July, but it involved fireworks. And it has to do with, this is like the China story and just how stupid this is. But I was in high school, I was in this touring drumline. And at the beginning of the summer, we always had this camp to put together our show and finalize everything. Well, the first year that I was in that, I didn't really know what to expect at this camp. And I was told to bring a box of bottle rockets, the box of 500 or whatever that comes in just, a little shoebox size thing. And the first night we had this huge bonfire. This was a tradition, huge bonfire. All the first years were told to bring these bottle rockets. And so they said, all right, get the bottle rockets out. And it was basically, so there were, 10 or so people in it for their first time. And they said, all right, everyone throw the bottle rockets in the bonfire and just start running around. And so we're talking thousands of bottle rockets zipping around. And that was a bit intense.
I got one more. I got one more story.
Okay.
Is that okay? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm done. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. It just reminded me of, there was a brief moment in time. It had to deal with bottle rockets. My friend and neighbor at the time, Matt Sickler, he and I became like, I don't know where we heard about these, but like essentially people would take either old or like expired Roman candles and like duct tape them together in the form of a gun, and then you would put a bottle rocket in the end of it, and you could whatever. We called them bottle rocket guns, or BRLs. We eventually, I don't know how he got it, but like he ended up making one out of pipe, like copper pipe, and like had like the, it was like this, and then it had like an angled thing that you could hold in the back, and then it had another one underneath, so you could like, it was almost like a little Tommy gun. And we were up at my family's lake house cabin area, and out in front where the driveway is, there's like a little thing called a pump house, and it was formerly an actual pump house, but it's more of just like a little tiny storage shed. I mean, it's probably like in total 10 feet by 10 feet. And on one side of it, there is like an old pump that you can crank to get water out if you want. And it's just this it's got that big long handle. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I
mean, it is big. The handle is the size of my arm, in length, and it's about chest high on this little platform outside of the pump house. And Matt and I would have like bottle rocket wars or like firework wars, and we'd like kind of like snipe each other from a distance, or like one person would go off into the woods and then you'd like walk around and you'd try and find the person and shoot him before whatever. Well, our clashing point happened around the pump house, and he saw me and ran around the other side, and he didn't know this, but I had a couple packs of Black Cats, like dynamite packs with like multiple, like you light them and then it's like brr, 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 brr. Right. And I like grenade style, like picture lighting it, and I hucked it over the pump house so it went around to the other side where I knew that he was, and it landed, and I just hear and he peeled around the corner. I hear the F-bomb, I hear them start to go off, and then I hear the loudest dong.
He clotheslined himself.
He had been like hunkered down, and he got up to run, and he just boom took it right to the forehead, and it just laid him out.
Oh man!
Suffice it to say, I won that
nice
battle.
Victory.
Anyways, that was 4th of July story for you.
Man, so insane.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Transition now.
Yep.
Top Gun. This was
Maverick.
kind of this wasn't even planned until I don't know a couple of days ago when we all saw Top Gun.
Yeah.
Maverick.
I saw it. Yeah,
Yep.
I saw it on Monday. You saw it on Monday night,
Yep.
Chad, and
Yep.
then Bryan saw it on Thursday. Yeah, we all saw it this week.
Yep.
I happened to go to a theater or a stadium that had, they call it Screen X, and it's the main screen in front of you, but then the entire wall on both sides was also projected on, and so it was this 270 degree field of view.
Were they
awesome.
repeated? Were what you saw in front of you, if you chose to only watch the front screen, was it also that screen on the side, or was it all extended?
See, I think it was just extended, and I think that it's not that crazy of a. I think it's probably pretty easy to pull this off. I think they just used maybe a wider, because it was only a few scenes throughout the movie, and it was. I think they just, for those scenes, used a film that was wider than normal, or wider aspect ratio than normal, and then just cropped it and stretched the sides, because the sides were super low res, right? It wasn't the purpose to see the side or to watch the sides. It was just to enhance the
That's
field
cool.
of view. So it was really cool though. And it was mostly when they were flying that they had this. So all the dialogue and stuff didn't have that, which wouldn't make any sense.
So there was a few cameras they used, I think, are 6K. So I wonder if they were able to scale that across.
It makes sense
all the way.
I bet.
Yeah. That's probably what it was.
Very cool.
So how do we want to approach this one so the viewers know what to expect here? Are we given full rundown? We highlight reeling and commenting?
I think we just need to kind of highlight some of the main things, because this movie was one of the. It's been a long time since we've seen a movie like this where it's more like practical effects, and people really like it. It feels like it was like a genuine, like, real film versus recently it's always been the superheroes green screen. Like, it was like a really good movie. Like the amount of time that went into it just to like develop it and stuff. I think I was just so impressed with one of the big things that I know that Tom Cruise mentioned is like they wanted to make sure all these aviation scenes were really like they were done. Yeah. And so that's one of the big things that they decided to use the F-18 Hornet, is because it's one of the few in the fleet now that has 2 seats. So they could actually utilize it. So a lot of these scenes that you see where like it's maybe one pilot or something, but it's actually them in the back seat and like, doing the different stunts and stuff. So that was actually the crew or the cast doing it, which was, it added so much to the film. Yeah. I mean, the only one that was, so I think there were 6 different airplanes in this one. At the beginning, there's this kind of fictional one. So that one was more green screen done in studio. Yep. But the rest of them were, I mean,
the
that
one
was practical effects. Yeah.
Yeah. The one he went Mach 10 in, Mach 10.3, 2 or 3. Anyways, yeah.
Yep, that's right.
I also, I would just like to, I really only have one main bullet point thing that I wanted to say out front, because I guess like I didn't even, I'm sitting in the movie theater, so I obviously wasn't jotting notes or anything like that. But
Right,
I
sure.
will start by saying that prior to seeing the movie, and even still, I feel about Tom Cruise like I feel about jazz music. And that is to say that
You respect it, you don't like it?
I'm a musician, and I respect it. I admire people who can do it.
Sure.
I don't care to explore it. I don't care to go and watch it. And yeah, I mean, I don't hate it, but I just don't have a feel. It creates no feeling for me. That's how I have felt about Tom Cruise for so long. All the Mission Impossible movies, never cared about him. Trying to think, I don't know. I think I heard rumors that kind of like tainted my view of him. Everything from like Scientology to like how inflated his ego is about him doing all of his own stunts and stuff like that, to whatever. Either way, whether or not that stuff is true, it informed my opinion about going into this movie. And I went into it thinking it's going to be fine. It's going to be action. It's going to be whatever. And I was 100% blown away. That I couldn't walk away from that movie being mad about it. I couldn't. The acting wasn't weak. There may have been there were just a couple of like, I don't know, cheesy like YA moments, like things you would see in the vampire movies. What are they called? Whatever. Yeah, like their little love story thing was, and like the bar scene, but all of it was still like marinated in a wholesome way. So I couldn't even be like, that was cheesy, because there was a part of it that's like, they're riffing off of the old movie. I can like, they're intentionally doing this.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. It just, from top to bottom, the movie was just, it was really enjoyable. I was a little bit high when I saw it, and it was noon. I was by myself, and I did get one of those cupcake rosé in a can. So I was just feeling great.
Having a good time, huh?
Having a good time by myself. But it was, I genuinely enjoyed the fuck out of that movie. And that's the first one in a long time that I felt like from top to bottom. I've seen a lot of movies recently where I'm like, this is nothing new. Or like, it's, I don't know, just like it would get good Rotten Tomato reviews. Like I watched The Lost City recently with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum. And I think it got like an 89% on Rotten Tomato. And Daniel Radcliffe is in it. And it was fine. It was entertaining, but it was nothing new. I was like, I'll never watch this again. I don't know. Yeah. Just mid-level. I'd get a 5 on the Ascension scale, because it was just like, whatever. But this was great.
The thing that Top Gun is one of, if not, it's probably the coolest movie ever made, right? I mean, it's not the best movie ever made, but it's so cool, right? Everything
You're talking about the OG?
Yeah, the OG.
Yeah.
And so it's going into it, I thought, how are they going to compete with the coolest movie of all time, right?
Right.
I mean, I think cool. Wizard of Oz is the coolest movie of all time. So like, I don't recall ever watching Top Gun once. I don't even recall the storyline, and I didn't watch it leading up to this. So
Are you serious? Wow.
Yeah, I'm dead serious. It was never an emphasized movie in any of my friend groups.
Really?
My family, my dad. Like, there was nobody that was like, bruh, you got to go see this movie, little child boy. Like, whatever age I don't know how old we were. I don't even know when it came out. I don't fucking know. I never really recalled seeing it from front to back, but I understood that it was cool.
Yeah.
Well, Top Gun came out in '86, so
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
My whole life I had to watch it, and I haven't. So.
Wow.
Anyways,
cool.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Cool.
Go ahead.
The point is the dialogue is similarly whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's super just macho guys being macho for the sake of being macho, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's about jets, right? Which
Yeah.
are fucking cool.
Mhm.
And
It's
all the
so
aerial
awesome.
shit and the coming off of aircraft carriers. And it's just, and being at Top Gun, it's just, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
And so this movie, as long as all it had to do, right, was do the macho thing, because that's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Do the corny dialogue, because that's going to be a thing. It doesn't matter, right? All it had to do was have dope ass fighter jets, and it had that in abundance, way more than the first one. It from like what Spenny was saying, real IRL flying and G-forces on the actors' faces, and the actors had to run their own cameras, right, and be their own cinematographer up in the plane.
Yeah.
It rocks.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
That was the coolest part of it. Just as you mentioned, like, the dialogue's fine, whatever. It was interesting. Like, Maverick kind of came off as he kind of had this humbleness to him. Well, he was cocky with like at the beginning with like pushing it past Mach 10 and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he had this sort of like humility of like, I tried to be a Top Gun instructor. I failed. Like, that's why I've moved on, but still a test pilot.
Yeah.
I know where I'm supposed to be and all that stuff.
Yeah,
but it was just
there was a specific point where he was
just,
like, I was number 2 in my class, when the guy was like, you were top of your class. He's like, actually, no, I was number 2.
My biggest,
but then like when he gets in the plane and he just starts fucking with those guys,
so awesome.
Really quick. Another thing that gave me like an improper window into this movie, which maybe like lowered my expectations even more so. I went to Doctor Strange like the first week that it was out, and they had like it wasn't a trailer for Top Gun. It was like a
mini documentary or something? Or
no. It was like, hey, we're going to give you a glimpse of what this movie's going to be. It was like,
was it with
a
Tom
chunk
Cruise
of
on it?
Yeah. But he didn't say anything. It was like it was a chunk of the movie. And specifically, it was the chunk where the pilots go up in the air for the first time to like, whatever. He's like, we're going to do this in real time, like hit the ground running. And he's like, I'm going to be pursuing you and you're going to be in groups of 2 or whatever. And just try not to get taken out by me. That's how the sequence started. And it was like, we're going to give you like a sneak peek of what this movie is going to be like. And just imagine me sitting there, not having anything other than the predisposition that like, I'm not a fan of Tom Cruise. And all it was just beep, 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 beep. That's a kill. And then they're like, all right, do the push-ups, like macho, like whatever. And then, the next crew goes up and it's like, whoosh, whoosh, beep, 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 beep. You're dead. And then another crew goes up while those other guys are doing push-ups. Not so funny now, is it? And then they go back up again and like, he goes up behind him, comes back around, beep, 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 beep. You're dead. It was just like a montage of that. And I was like, is this ever going to end? It was just one after another, after another, after another. And it was just, and all I thought it was this highlight reel of Tom Cruise just taking out pilots. That's all it was. It was just a highlight reel of Tom Cruise taking out pilots. I'm like, wow, that's all this movie's going to be. That was my window into it at first. But the mechanics behind all of it and how that specific chunk that they showed fit into the whole story was, no, there's no way that I could sneeze at that. When I was watching it, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But
I was so impressed with the way it was done and shot, because I mean, I'm probably one of the biggest Top Gun fans ever, and that was my concern. I was like, how can you, like, 37 years later, like, what is this gonna be? It's just gonna be some shitty version, sequel.
Well,
Tom Cruise is just reliving his same self, and they just did this way of like incorporating the new cast and stuff to make it like very cool. And then, seeing the next generation of fighter planes and stuff. It was just, man.
And there was so relatability with the major story arc too, right? Like we all are witnessing it as we are getting older, and technology is moving at a fast pace. always, and probably faster than it ever has. I think it's still exponentially technologically, we're still on the up and up. And the opening part of the movie is like Tom Cruise hearing from the mouth of the people who lord over him, like, hey man, you're going to be obsolete. It's the facts, face it. Like, you're going to be replaced by computer or by whatever. Like, your program is going to be shut down. And so like, it's already, it's, I mean, that's like everybody's biggest, I mean, that's any business owner's, entrepreneur's biggest fear, is that the product that they are creating is going to someday become obsolete, and then they're just going to be shit out of luck. And like, so already I'm always looking for those like undercurrent pulls that sort of like invite you to feel like you have stake in this. And that was a big thing as a musician. Like, I'm trying to essentially vie for people's attention alongside millions and millions of other artists, billions, whatever. And it's for these moments in time that could be like this. And then you hear about artists that peak and never have another whatever. And so I don't know, that's something that resonated with me when I was watching it. Like, they led with that. And you witness it continually.
So that kind of leads into my biggest criticism from, I guess, story element. Again, it's not about, it's not about this at all, right? All it had to have was jets, which it had. So it's awesome. But part of what you're describing here is about accepting when your time is up, you know? That was a thing for Maverick. And he goes to Iceman's house and he says, you got to give it up, you know, just teach. And that was, you know, a big moment for him to accept that, to really accept that. 10 minutes later, he's in charge. Not only is he back in, not only did he not give up, he's in charge of the final mission. Exactly what he wanted. Right. So he's not obsolete. He's the only one that could do it. And so I don't know. Again, it's whatever.
I mean, I think that goes where, I think that kind of leads into like what Bryan was talking about. I think no matter what happened with this film, as cool as it is, like, there is this element of Tom Cruise is part of the movie. So he has that ego that's going to go into it. I mean, the part where he crashes and then Miles Teller's character crashes as well. Like this, it was Mission Impossible. Like, that's where it just, like, all of a sudden it was Mission Impossible. Like getting some jet that's supposed to take off, you know, that's been not flying for 20 years and seeing if you can take it off. And that when he flies the Tomcat. And so, that was a bit of a, like, if you actually diagnosed that, there was a bit of an eye roll sequence for me when they're just like, oh, totally
hoofing it across the station, like, so nonchalant. And then
no one gets you.
No one gets you. You fire up the jet and just fucking go like it is nothing. But I mean, that's what they would have had to do, is just the fact that they were literally behind enemy lines for a millisecond of the whole movie. It just felt like, wow, they're already out. It's wild.
But what was going through my mind at the time was what you were saying about how just this is the tone switched, right? It's a good analogy that it's now a Mission Impossible. But at the same time, when I was in the theater watching it, I thought, there's still more, right? It's not over yet. And that's what was even more cool, because it was the story. The story is still whatever at this point. Well, there's still more to go.
It's like you have the criticism, but at the same time you're like, please keep going.
I will. Another thing to pad the stats for this movie in my mind was, again, I feel like the age that we are and the number of movies that we have collectively seen, it's so hard to be surprised by something anymore that makes it to the big screen. It's like, and it's always pleasant when it happens, or when a story is crafted in a way that maybe isn't even totally original, but has enough little elements that separate it from the rest of the movies that are also out at that time. And I felt like one of the biggest things about this movie that I really liked was that nobody died except for Iceman, which they gave him cancer, and so you knew, like, that was the heart tug moment. But in terms of the mission, the whole time they are saying this mission is impossible. They have emphasized that, like, somebody's going to die, and so you want to believe that nobody's going to die. But even the way that they casted some of the characters, like I thought for sure Bob was going to die. His name was Bob. His name is Bob. You knew, he was the nerdy one. He's the one that you, like when you see him by alongside all of these like confident macho Top Gun men and women, you like, it's like, yeah, I mean, that guy, he's going to die and you're going to have your heart ripped out a little bit because you were rooting for him. Like he was the most authentic because he was the most insecure out of all of them. But like, nobody died. Nobody in the mission died. And I thought that was the coolest thing because it was so different than like what you would expect. You would expect that somebody wouldn't come back from that mission, and it was either going to be Tom Cruise, which was a red herring because they kept inferring that like your time has passed, you're too old.
Yeah,
he's leading the mission, so you're like, yeah, for sure that dude's going to die. Didn't die.
Yeah, almost did. Well, so it's interesting. So you talked about Val Kilmer and Bob. So it's two interesting things about those two characters. So Val Kilmer actually does have throat cancer. So for this film, it's actually not his voice. It's actually the voice of his two sons, and then part of his voice from Top Gun, which they kind of fused together for the lines. So he can't talk at all at this time.
Wow.
And then Bob is actually Bill Pullman, which ID4-2, the son of the president from ID4-2, it's the son. So that's Bob. His name's Louis Pullman. So I just thought you would like to know that.
That's cool as hell. Yeah.
Yep. So these kind of connected in a way because I was like, man, that guy really looks familiar. Like I've seen him before. Or like he has somebody that must be in, Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it turned out to be Bill Pullman. So it's his son. So that's cool.
That's dope as hell.
Yeah. I after watching this, I went down kind of a rabbit hole looking at the different airplanes that they had. So obviously, SR-72, the Dark Star, that was the fictional one at the beginning that went Mach 10.3 and then exploded. Mm-hmm. But it is kind of a plane that's in the works with Lockheed Martin in their Skunk Works. So it is something they're trying to develop, a supersonic successor to the SR-71, which was
Blackbird.
Gosh. Blackbird. Yep. Thank you.
Nice.
That was the fastest one. That's still the fastest plane that we've had. And then obviously the F-14 Tomcat that we see where they get into the hangar and they take that off, which is interesting because the F-14 Tomcat is actually still like 500 kilometers an hour faster than the F-18 Super Hornet that they fly. So the Tomcat has always been kind of this super fast ship. It was always heavy, but it's always been like the super fast one.
Yeah,
because it had such powerful engines. And then the Super Hornet, that one has actually had these really unique things on the wings. So usually if you go 15 to 20 degrees up, they usually engines stall out. But with this one, they develop what's called the LEX system, which is called the leading edge extensions, which is kind of that part that kind of forms around before the wings hit. And then they have these sawtooth wings. So if you saw, there's a little cutout that raises up and then goes to the end. That helps them so they can do these extreme G angles, which is up to 40 degrees. Yeah. So it was really cool to kind of learn about that stuff.
Yeah.
You say something, Jad?
No. I was just going to say
doing
that,
the motion of those wings.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But then, yeah,
go for it.
I would say the other thing is, so the F-35 was the other one. I think they talked about it, but I don't think we actually ever saw it because that one's a single cockpit one, so they couldn't film in it. So that's why the Super Hornet got used most often. And then
for that reason, it would make sense that it doesn't really make sense that they would base it on the F-18s, right? A current movie, right? Because the F-35 is the current coolest plane, right?
Yep.
Because it can do vertical takeoff and landing. It's also a jet. So it's part F-22, part Harrier. And it's just super dope. Yep. But yeah, they had to give a reason to not use it.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, the big premise is like, you can't use a Gen 5 fighter for this mission for whatever reason, even though when you see the Gen 5 that the Sukhoi Su-57, where they do like that. I don't know, they call it like the Cobra, where like all of a sudden it stops and like flies back, and like, well, why couldn't they use that for that? I mean, it been way
so
way easier
I was
to maneuver.
one of the disappointments for me was I guess I wasn't expecting this, but it would have been cool if this was all done using F-22s, because F-22s are the coolest plane ever, hands down. But that's Air Force, they're Navy, so it doesn't really make sense for that.
Right.
But they would have been able to do all that stuff that the Sukhoi could do. So
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then the other one was, so that P-51 Mustang at the end that he flies, he's working on it like throughout the year.
that's so cool.
So those are actually going for 2.5 to 3 million right now on the market. So Maverick, as a captain of the naval aviation, would not be able to afford one unless he somehow had one for like 20 years and then he just built it up. So just thought that was kind of interesting.
I think I read that is Tom Cruise's plane.
That would not surprise me.
Yeah.
He is a pilot. I mean, I know he can fly. So
That's insane. I actually didn't know that.
So I have a couple funny stories if we're done with this stuff.
Yeah, I have
Did you have any more to say, Spenny?
Nope. I
no,
don't.
good.
Oh, before the story, I thought it'd be cool because you're talking about the planes that are in the movie. One of the cool things, so I ride a motorcycle. I'm into bikes. So like Spenny's into cars. I like bikes. In the first Top Gun movie, there's kind of a classic iconic scene where Tom Cruise riding his motorcycle, right? Well, that was the first Kawasaki Ninja. So it's a Ninja 900R. And that was cool at the time because this was the first line of Ninjas, and it kind of changed how sport bikes looked. And the bike that he rode in this one was the Ninja H2R, which is the current. So at the time, the Ninja 900 was the top of the line sport bike. And I think it set some speed records for a short time. The one he rides in this one is the current top of the line Ninja and H2R, and it's actually supercharged, and it has something like 230 horsepower on this tiny little bike. So it was a very cool callback and a very cool kind of nod to the first movie.
Yeah. It's kind of like the next gen. Yeah. It was a really cool bike. Yeah.
So,
they also had a Porsche. So Penny drove a Porsche, of course, because why not? Because they had a Porsche in the first one. The Porsche in the first Top Gun was actually a replica, so it was a kit car. Because they couldn't afford it or they couldn't find a Porsche 956 or 356, so this one is actually a 1973 Porsche 911S, which is very similar to the 13th floor one. It's kind of same design, but
very cool.
Yep, different one. Go ahead, Brad.
So I had two stories about plane stuff. So when I was 16, I was doing training to get my private pilot's license. And so one of the funny stories I think for that is, so I started in August of 2004. So I'd have just turned 16.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I wasn't allowed to drive into Sioux Falls from Brandon by myself, even though I could drive.
Mhm.
So I had to it was usually my mom, but she would ride with me to the airport so as for me to not drive by myself. But then I went up and flew planes and, was doing, as part of that training, I was practicing recovering from stalls and flying or landing in windy weather and stuff, and this ridiculous stuff. And some of the
idea
some of the
you
times,
did that.
Yeah.
I bet if you went back and looked at my face just now, like I was like,
and so it was,
it's so cool.
It was so awesome because when I was a kid, the only thing that I wanted to be was a fighter pilot. I wanted to fly F-16s. That's it. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to be a fighter pilot and then be an astronaut. That's it. And then in 7th grade, my eyesight went to complete shit almost overnight. And I basically gave up on that dream because at that point in time, there was really no option for having either corrective lenses or getting vision corrected. So I basically just wrote off that entire dream of being a fighter pilot. But when I was in early high school, I started doing private pilot training. And so I was flying a little Cessna Skyhawk, so a little single prop plane. And it was awesome. I loved it. And part of the stuff that we would do that was really cool was my instructor would say, okay, we're going to practice stalls. And so he said, climb to 6,000 feet or whatever. And so I'd climb. And then at one point he would just cut the engine off. And so I had to, or he would tell me to just climb until we stalled. And then the feeling of like falling, you're stalling in this airplane and having to think through how to regain control, get back in control. It was pretty intense. And then
I've experienced that. Like one random time I was taken up in a plane, and the guy was really good at doing like hard bank turns. And at one point, without saying anything, he went like this. And then all of a sudden that feeling of like stall. And then it was like, and that, oh my God, I thought something broke on the plane.
Another cool things would be, I mean, this is all trivial stuff, right? When you're an actual pilot, and especially in these little planes. But one of the coolest thing I think that I learned how to do was to fly in really windy crosswinds. And so basically to get the most, to be the most aerodynamic, you want to be flying into the wind so that the airflow goes over the wings, which is designed to provide lift, right? But most airports, they have kind of the X pattern of runways, and it's usually a couple like this. And those are designed to be able to land into the wind. So landing, you always want to be landing into the wind so that you can have as much lift at the lowest speed possible. And you put down the flaps and whatever to make the wings basically longer. But that's, this only offers a few options for wind. So most of the time you have to land in crosswind. And so basically what that means is you're getting down, so the runway is kind of like this, and the wind is coming from this angle. You basically have to point your nose this way as you're landing. And so at the last minute, turn the plane and land so that your wheels don't explode. And so it would basically be on the itinerary would be basically we'd be doing touch and goes on a regional airport strip. And if it happened to be windy that day, we do even more so I could get practice going into the crosswind and just hovering 10, 12 feet above the ground, being at like a 45-degree angle to where we're headed was, I was just so cool.
That was a mind bender.
But see, this is the story that I wanted to tell. Early on, part of the education and the training was learning how to communicate with the tower. And it's very quick, it's very mumbly, and the goal is to provide as much information in as few words as possible. So it's always a certain kind of order in what information is told when, and who speaks, and and then you listen and stuff. And so this was, I think, my first day. So my instructor said, okay, you're going to be in charge of the radio today. Because up until that point, the instructor would just talk to the tower and stuff and basically tell me what to do. So I was in charge this day, and I was told where to taxi, what part of the runway to use for what and where to taxi. And I remember hearing, hold pattern so that this other homie could land, and then proceed with whatever kind of traffic he told me. That's kind of what I heard, but what I think he actually said, what I learned later, what he actually said was get out now and take off before this plane lands. And so I obviously didn't do that. And so my instructor was just kind of laughing the whole time because there were planes lined up. There were commercial airplanes lined up behind me, waiting for me to figure out what to do. 16-year-old in a plane, right? All these passengers, all these other people waiting on the tarmac, or not even the tarmac. They're waiting to get on the
Yeah.
We didn't get on the runway, and I just didn't know what to do. And it wasn't that I froze; I just heard wrong or I misunderstood, and so it was just.
Right.
And then the guy in there, System 187, what are you doing? He got all pissed and stuff. And then at one point, the instructor say, "Okay, yeah, we're going." And so that was one story. I think my favorite story about flying was, I was doing traffic patterns around Sioux Falls Airport. So basically, there was really no commercial flights in this little window, and so they allowed me to do touch and goes, and they would tell me what pattern to hold. And so it's basically land, take off, go to the left, do a little loop, or land, take off, go to the right, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
At one point, I had done 2 landings, and I was up on my third kind of pattern. And before I was on my approach, the tower came on and said, System 187, hold traffic, but you are going to get a flyby. Just let it happen, something like that. And out of nowhere, this F-16 comes flying by me. He does this, lands and then takes off again and does another pass around me. And so you have to remember, F-16s were it. That's what I wanted to do up until that point. To see an F-16 come flying around me was so cool.
That's awesome.
And it reminded me, so my dad was in the Air National Guard for a long time, and at his 20th anniversary at that base, anyways, at Sioux Falls, their 20th anniversary, they got to do a ride along in a 2-seater F-16. So F-16s are 1 seat, but they had this 2-seater as part of training and whatnot. And they the people that wanted to got to take a flight. And so not only was that so cool, but I got to stand on the runways have these like little side kind of streets. I can't remember exactly what they're called, but I basically got to stand there as they took off. So I got to feel the afterburner and stuff when they took off. It was so cool.
That's awesome.
Anyways.
I had no idea any of that happened for you. So that's amazing.
I remember we went and visited the Air National Guard base, didn't we, one time? And I remember we that we had liquid.
Are you thinking of that? You're thinking of Skylab.
Maybe that's with the liquid nitrogen and stuff.
Yep.
Maybe that was.
But I mean, speaking of which, when there would be family days and stuff on the base, and I would go and stuff, and they had an F-16 just chilling that kids could climb around in and stuff, and so cool. Still, jets are so cool to me.
Yeah, jets are. Yeah, jets are. I don't live the coolest thing
with regrets or anything, but that's something that I will probably never happen. But I just want to be in a jet.
Just want to be in a jet. Yeah, I loved I loved the sequences where they were. I think it was when either when they were doing when Tom Cruise was showing off that he could actually beat the thing in less time. When he stole the plane and flew it. It was like during that, but then also the actual mission, like how they're just like, like how it was showing that in real time, how it was like moving their bodies while they were like maneuvering the planes. Like this was, it was like exhilarating to be sitting there watching it happening. Like I felt clenched multiple times.
Totally.
It's such an unreal thing to think about, going that fast and navigating at like that low of an altitude and everything. But
and it's
brilliantly done.
Yeah. The thing is, that's what movies should be for, right? I mean, tell stories and whatnot, but at certain points there just needs to be something cool to see. And that was as cool as it gets, basically. Yeah. Because it's real.
You'll definitely, they always talk about the first Top Gun was they saw a 500% increase in people signing up for the Navy and Air Force and everything. Yeah. I have a feeling we'll see a younger generation. Same thing, because it's so cool. I mean, I just wish we had a chance to kind of experience that stuff, because it was feels like there was like a 10-year lull where we didn't really get to see anything that was that cool. And now we finally get to see it on the big screen again.
Yeah. Yep. I was being impressed. I have zero qualms with the movie. Like even the dialogue, like you said, Jad, there's some kind of cheesy moments, but like the undertone of wholesomeness that was there with the major story arc made the cheesiness completely irrelevant and totally stomachable, in my opinion. So definitely wasn't anything that got me hung up on. And it was just, that was so overshadowed by the goodness of the movie that I was just not even.
And it took them, I think it took them 6 years to do the script, and they finally started the filming in 2018. It got done in 2021, but they waited till everybody was coming back to the theaters for 2022. Yeah. So that's why it got released kind of a year later.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing that Tom Cruise refused to let it be streamed or to release on a streaming platform.
Yep, that was a big thing. Well, did you guys get the thing where he kind of talked at the beginning of the movie?
Yeah.
Like, thank you for coming out to the movies and stuff.
Yeah. Another thing, about that in general, I at first wanted to be like, God, of course he needed to be the one to intro the movie. But also I was like, if you think about how much of a game changer that movie was, I mean, he was already popular before that movie, but like that is Tom Cruise's iconic movie, in my opinion. I know the Mission Impossible series is like whatever, but I could sense his just gratefulness for being a part of it, and being taken seriously. If he was one of the major, I'm sure he wasn't major script writer or anything like that, but in terms of whatever creative control he had in terms of being at the helm of his character and where the story arc was going, I feel like I could just sense his investment in the series or the story as a whole. Yeah. And it was probably life-changing for him. So that felt really sincere. Didn't feel cheesy to see that.
I think it boils down to, this doesn't get made without him.
Yeah.
Right? No one else would do this. Yeah. So the fact that it's made is because of him. And I think he was a producer, maybe even an executive producer.
I think he was an executive producer.
He was. And the other thing too is the guy that directed the original one, Tony Scott, he died. So they started working on this in 2010 and then script through 2016, but Tony Scott died in 2012. So they had to find a new director to do this. That's where they got Joseph Kosinski to do it, because they had Jerry Bruckheimer and I'm trying to blank on the other guy's name, but those are the two big executive producers.
Yeah.
Bryan, you were talking about Mission Impossible, and so I think there's 7 now, something like that.
Yeah.
7 that have released, and they might be worth a watch for you, because especially the last 3 that he's made incorporate some legitimate scenes like in Top Gun. In one of them, he's in this helicopter, and this helicopter does this corkscrew kind of descent that I don't know, one pilot in the world can do or something. And it's more stunts that are real.
Yeah.
For the sake of being authentic and looking.
You have to check those out again. Yeah.
Yeah. I might be a little bit more interested in seeing them. Prior to this movie, I had no desire, but I could definitely, that's cool to have a whole series like that of movies to watch. But anyway,
so
what did you guys? Go ahead.
Sorry, I have one last thing that's related to this. It's a bit of a quiz, not a quiz. I don't know. So there's 3 of us sitting here, and there's arguably 3 relevant characters, at least in the first Top Gun. And this, I guess, falls short because I didn't realize you've never seen the first one, Bryan. But what I want to know is what you guys think about. There's 3 of us, and if we consider Maverick, Iceman, and Goose, which of us would be each person? I'm going to go ahead and say there's no doubt in my mind that Bryan's Goose in the back seat. So that
and what's funny about that, and I was thinking about this when I went to the movie, is that when we were in the heyday of playing Halo, my fucking username was Goose. And you guys were always
the
goose is loose, because we would plan a mission, or like as a team, like Sidewinder, we'd always be playing Capture the Flag, and I would always go rogue on the mission. Always, every fucking time I go rogue, and like I just remember like Corey with the sniper, like scanning across the horizon, like waiting for that, the signal, whatever we were doing. All of a sudden, he's like, the goose is loose. And I'm like running across the middle of the map, like out in the wide open, just every time. Anyways, so yeah, my username was
I forgot about that. I do remember now, but yeah. So Brian's goose. So
That's
it's between Spenny and I, Iceman and Maverick.
Yeah, I feel like persona-wise, I feel like you're more the calculated Iceman.
That's what I think too. I'd be Iceman.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I guess I'm Maverick then. Back in high school, I was definitely more Maverick.
That for sure. You and your Beamer and stuff. You were totally Maverick.
Okay.
So yeah,
so
I guess
I am dead in this scenario now. So
yep, you're dead.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. Got it.
Nice. All right. Well, should we get some scores on this one?
Yep.
Yeah.
I know we didn't have to, but it was a good one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
I will go first, saying it is 10 for me. I think that I'm you guys know this. I'm very apprehensive to give something a perfect score should something come along and feel actually much better. Yep. And I think there are movies that I still like more than this movie, but it was so well done from front to back, and the fact that there wasn't really anything that I could walk away from scoffing at. Tom Cruise especially, there's no reason for this not to have a 10 on our scale from me.
When I initially knew this was coming, and I saw it when it started, and I saw the introductory thing, and I was like, well, that's kind of weird, but you could like feel the sincerity of it. And like my biggest concern was that he was going to be kind of this ego cocky guy in the movie, but he was like the humbleness of it. Like if it wouldn't have been that, I would have been like, oh man, I hate this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I gave it a 10.
Yep.
And I think it was better than the first Top Gun, which is so hard. I can't believe it, but it was so fucking cool.
Yeah.
This is an easy 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Or a hard 10?
Hard 10.
Hard 10, easy 10. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's like,
10 out of
it's
10.
legit. Like probably the best movie I've seen 20 years more. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was really well
blown
done.
away.
Yeah.
It's it's everything you'd want from a movie.
Yeah.
So
Definitely, man. Yeah.
10s across the board.
I think in terms of movies I've seen in the theater that have absolutely exceeded expectations, the only other one in recent history that I can think of that did that for me was the Endgame, the Marvel Universe Endgame.
I'd agree with that.
Just from front to back, so well done. But we can maybe we can hit that one at some point because
FD, I've only seen like 3 Marvel movies, so
that's fine. It's a whole ass adventure, and the Infinity Saga with Thanos is brilliant, and I think they tied them all together so well. But anyways, that's good. I would be very interested in reviewing one of those with y'all.
Cool. Well, that ends that part, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
What are we going to review next, Jad?
Well, we're going to take a hiatus from sci-fi, and because this is topical, we're going to review Iron Eagle.
Oh, nice.
You guys heard of that?
Mm-mm.
Yes.
This is the Top Gun wannabe.
Oh God! Oh my God!
Right.
Yes.
Wow.
So I'll leave it there. I think there's 3 or 4 of them, but we'll do the first one.
We'll do the first one. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? That came the same year as Top Gun. Of course, it keeps to that whole they have to have 2 of the same movies come out at the same time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
All right.
One of them was gonna take. You knew it.
Yep.
Just wasn't that one. Well,
no.
This was fun. This is gonna be a fun one to edit. I think
It was a good one.
we have a lot to bleep out on this one. It's gonna take a while.
Yeah. Historically speaking, of all of the editing that I've done of this podcast, it feels as though whenever I am on air, the number of cuss words drastically
Grows
changes.
exponentially.
Yeah, it grows exponentially. I don't know if I bring that out in everyone or whatever, but so, it definitely happens.
It was even in the notes for ID4, the second one.
Yeah.
I dropped some F-bombs even in my notes. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah,
I do that all the time. Yeah, especially for that one.
Yeah. So
nice. Well,
cool.
Well, I think that's it.
Where can we be reached?
If you want to email us, it's boys@ascension210.com. Always correct us if we got anything wrong. We certainly appreciate it, and we will make sure to make comment on the
Must
episode.
Rectify. Yeah.
Or just write to us if you want to.
Yep. Or just write to us. If you have recommendations too, we still appreciate people sending those in.
Yep.
And then for socials, you can find us at Ascension2ten.com or Ascension2ten at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and then on YouTube we are Ascension, then spelled out Ascension 210 Podcast. So you can find us there, and all links
fully
are
up to
in the
date.
Description. Yep,
YouTube is fully up to date, so every episode now.
Thank Jad for that. He did a lot of work trying to get us caught up on all our videos, and they're pretty awesome. And if you like to digest podcasts via video, or if you just want to find some specific pieces to see our reactions, I think it's always entertaining to see that.
Yeah.
So,
and if you've checked out the channel in the past and thought, well, what am I watching here? It's just a bunch of squiggly lines. We've now entered the realm of this is an actual video portion too. So just to clear that up.
Yeah.
If that should interest you.
They call that an evolution.
They do.
Yep.
Yeah. It's true. Well, boys.
All right. Well,
a good one.
I think that's it.
We got Bryan, Jad, Spenny. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.